Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of Bucs UK TV. I'm trying to remember lots of numbers in my head because it's episode 64, but it's also the 34th Bucs UK Awards. We've actually been going longer than that, believe it or not. Although, judging by the amount of grey hairs on the screen, you might be easy to remember tonight. We haven't had awards every year, but this is a long-standing tradition now of giving awards that are voted for by all of our members. Phil, do you want to just sort of, say anything about the voting and thanking everyone?
Yeah, so I'd just like to say that the 34 years is a tremendous achievement to keep doing this. I just want to thank everybody for taking part and taking the trouble to vote. And I noticed there was a lot more of you this year than there has been in previous years. And that's what it's all about, taking part with this club. 500 members, and we really want you all to participate. So thank you for everybody that voted, and let's get on with it.
Thank you. And by way of introduction, although obviously these big faces need no introducing, we're joined by Gary and Tim and David, and of course, club president Phil.
Evening all.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
So without any further ado, God, you can see I've got the lines already, can't you? I just need envelopes. We go on to the nominations, first of all, for Buccaneers Offensive Player of the Year. So the nominees for Offensive Player of the Year are Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Tristan Wirfs. So maybe, Gary, we start with you. That's exactly the same 4 nominees that we had last year.
Well, there you go. Consistency is key, obviously. Consistency on offense as well, because offense was brilliant last season as it was the season before. And how on earth do you pick between those 4? My personal favourite, I've got his shirt hanging there that he autographed for me. It's got to be Mike Evans, even though I'm wearing a Tom Brady shirt.
What do you think, David?
Yeah, again, I've got to say I agree with the Mike Evans call. I just can't believe just how he consistently seems to be underrated in the league. Yeah, the stats and the performances he puts up, right up there. I would have said Chris Godwin as well would have been a good shout, but obviously his injury really did show actually how important he is to the team. So, I think if he'd have made a full season, he'd have been right up there as well. But yeah, I mean, 8 consecutive seasons, 1,000 yards receiving, it's got to go to Mike Evans.
I'd like to put the great guy in the blunt end with this as well. Tristan Wirfs has come into this league and absolutely dominated. When we went up 1 pick, gave a 4th round pick away, people were thinking, really? We have got an absolute stud there for the next 10 years and is already the best right tackle in the league. So let's give a shout out to the big guy up front. Without him, the rest might not perform as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you say there, Tim, because when he got injured and was missing, did we miss him. The protection Brady was, it just knocked everything out of sync on that offensive line when he wasn't playing. It made a massive difference.
I do think it's just amazing. Just shows what strength and caliber of players we've got in the team. I mean, the roster is just once again jam-packed with stars, isn't it? It's a nice, difficult position to be in to try and pick someone out of those.
Yeah. I actually like this because we've just spoken for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes on all the other players. And not one of us has mentioned Tom Brady.
I wonder why. I mean, Brady is Brady, isn't he? Everyone's going to mention him. He's going to be right up there in any vote. I agree with what you're saying about Tristan Wirfs. Fantastic. Godwin, he's really the glue that keeps that offense together. Mike Evans, I think they should change the rules on entry to the Hall of Fame. I think they should just put him in now while he's still playing. The guy is just a phenomenon. But yeah, I understand what you're saying about Brady. But he's fantastic. He's going to be fantastic. If he isn't, the day he isn't, that will be the shock.
It's not so much what he does on the field; it's off the field, the leadership, the whole 10 yards. he's just a phenomenon. And how people can actually question the fact that he isn't the greatest of all time is just totally beyond me.
Now, Phil, is that just you trying to push up the value of your cards?
Yes. Yes, now you mention it. Yes.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Phil's pension fund. So let's see if Tim has got a sneaking suspicion. Now, should I say, these guys don't know who the winners are, so this is coming as a surprise to them as well. We are now, of course, also joined by Pete. And Pete, will come to you first when we see who the winner is. And the winner is Tom Brady. So, Pete, Brady again, 2 years, 2 awards for him. Is that a surprise?
No, I don't think it's ever a surprise with Tom Brady. How many awards does that bloke win, really? So it was always going to go his way, I reckon. It's good to see Worth's on there, though. I was pleased with that.
Yeah. I think Brady knows that of all the awards, this, of course, is the most valuable to him.
Yeah,
the one that he will always cherish the most, I'm sure. Okay, well, I think let's go from something maybe from the more obvious to slightly the less obvious. That takes us on to the Buccaneers Defensive Player of the Year. And here are the nominees. And the nominees are Lavonte David, Vita Vea, Devin White, and Antoine Winfield Jr. So, what do you make of those guys?
Well, quite honest, with the offensive player there, I think we all knew he was going to win that. And but this one, wow, that is really close call because every one of those players performed last year, every single one. Probably Winfield didn't quite live up to what he did in his first in the Super Bowl winning season, but the rest of them are just stalwarts for years and years to come. I've got to say a word here for Jason Light as well. I mean, the 3 of those have been drafted in recent years. Fantastic.
I would agree with Phil on Winfield. I would actually throw Devin White in there as occasional. Yeah, I'm a big Devin White fan, and he played a bit reckless on times and a bit out of position this year. I thought it's always interesting how he performs when Lavonte David isn't around. His game is a lot different because Lavonte David, we talked about Brady being the star. Lavonte David to me is the star of that defense, the real true captain of that team.
Yeah, you certainly noticed
yeah,
when
you
he
can see
wasn't
how
about.
much we missed him.
Go on, Pete.
I was going to say, you could see how much we missed Lavonte when Kevin Minter was filling in for him. You could tell that it was night and day, the difference.
Dave?
Yeah, and I think, a mention really of Vita Vea. We had a few injuries on that line. Sue and JPP carried injuries a lot during the season. And I think he shored it up quite well in the middle. So, I think a big effort for him. I thought he took a lot of the pressure off the team.
Yeah, I think Vita, he does all the dirty stuff in the middle, doesn't he? That doesn't get a lot of the credit for. He doesn't show up on the stat sheets because he's busy, pushing 2 linemen back into the quarterback. It's Lavonte. What can you say about him? He's the Tom Brady of the defense, isn't he? All the pundits in Tampa were saying on all the podcasts I listened to that Devin White is not the same player when Lavonte is not in the lineup. So that sort of drops him down the pecking order in terms of this vote, anyway, for me. Winfield, the guy's sensational. I think he's another one with a long career in front of him, but I think surely it's got to be Lavonte.
Well, someone says it's surely, someone else says it's close. And actually, in terms of the voting, Offensive Player of the Year was a landslide. This Defensive Player of the Year, the voting was really close. And I can reveal the winner now. So the winner is Vita Vea, which I think is deserved, but also surprising.
Well deserved, but yes, I agree. A surprising choice.
Do you think it's because he gave his teeth for the calls this year? Could be. Okay, so then I guess Vita Vea is a good segue into the first of our new categories this year. In the past, the offensive and defensive awards have always been won by skill players, and I do use my little bunny rabbit ears for that. But obviously, Vita Vea breaking the mold this year. But for that kind of reason, we do have a new category, which is Buccaneers Lineman of the Year. So this is someone on either side of the trenches that deserves some credit. And again, a bit like all the other categories, it's fantasy football with the list of the nominees. And the nominees are Ryan Jensen, Ali Marpet, Vita Vea, and Tristan Wirfs. Is that a good group of people?
Absolutely. I mean, we've already said a lot about Vita Vea and Tristan Wirfs. I mean, Jensen is a real beast, and he sets the tone out there on the field, doesn't he? So, I think he's really grown with Brady behind him. I think he's not a shy guy anyway, but the last 2 years, I think he's really become a beast out there and sensational. So it definitely made an impact there. I think someone that's worthy of recognition.
I would agree with that. As soon as Brady announces retirement, his sabbatical over, however you want to put it, who was the first person who signed straight after it? Was Ryan Jensen. That was the faith that Brady had. If Brady hadn't resigned, I've got a feeling Jensen may have gone. And yeah, he is the glue. I will throw a shout out to Ali Marpet. Superb player. Happy retirement, Ali. I hope it goes well for you. You will be missed along that line. Please come back and coach at some point.
I think that's a really good call. I think we do understand why Ali is retired. I think it's very easy for us to sit on the sidelines, stomping and cheering when these players are putting their bodies on the line. But he will be missed, won't he? I mean, Phil, I know you've been a big fan of Marpet over the years.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, another one. You got to look what happened. That offensive line has been a treat to watch for the last 2 years. For years and years and years, we've watched quarterbacks play for the Buccaneers and they've gone back 2 steps, and the next thing they're sitting on the backside. But with these, Brady's had time to throw and do all the, and look around, do all these things. And Marpet was a big, big part of that. And I've always been a big unsung hero, but a massive, massive part of that offensive line. Yeah.
Any linemen that aren't on the list, maybe, Gary, that you thought should be on there?
Well, none of the rest of the D line really stood out, did they? I mean, Barrett was pretty good, but JPP was injured. I mean, we all love Will Golston to death, don't we, in the Bucs UK? So,
solid season.
I'd have loved to have seen him been nominated. O-line, Kappa and Donovan Smith, I think, are the only 2 not mentioned. Yeah, I suppose you could throw them in, but I think they'd struggle to beat out, in terms of a vote, to beat out Ali Marpet or Jensen. He's just an animal, isn't he? I mean, everybody loves him, but I got the other 2 wrong, so I'm going to say that Jensen's going to win this, because I really want Ali Marpet to win it, because he'll never get the chance again, and I'll never ever get the picture of him in that one game where he's got one O-lineman, one lineman he's pushing with one hand and another one with the other hand, the D linemen that are coming at him. That was fantastic TV watching that. So I'd love to see Ali Marpet win this.
I agree.
Well, let's see if your early jinxing of everyone carries on through as we can announce the winner. Yes, it is indeed Tristan Wirfs. Gary, I'm afraid your curse carries
Wrong
on.
again.
Couldn't swing it for Jensen or Marpet. And actually, the votes weren't that close. He was quite a landslide, I think. I kind of, in my heart, I kind of wanted Marpet to get it as well, but I think Wirfs is a deserving winner. What do you think, Pete?
Definitely. He's had such a dramatic rise from coming in as a rookie, winning the Super Bowl, and he's just carried on that consistency that you just feel that even though he's still really a rookie, only into his second season, you felt that you could rely on him in that O-line to really keep up with people like Marpet and Jensen. So yeah, I can understand why a lot of people have gone for him.
He hasn't missed a beat since he took his first snap for the Bucs.
It's true, and he does win the best blackout face paint award normally. He kind of looks like Batman by the time he's sort of finished, doesn't he? Okay, then, which brings us on to the most controversial category, I'm sure you'll all agree, which is the Buccaneers Special Teams Player of the Year. And I'm sure some of you are expecting me to say there were no nominees this year and the awards, but it's not true. And there were some really good votes, and these were the people nominated. So we have Scotty Miller, Bradley Pinion, Grant Stewart, and Ryan Suckup. It's always one of those positions where you're going to expect the kickers to be nominated. But Phil, any surprises there for you?
No, none. Because, to be quite honest, there's very few to nominate, really, to be quite honest. And Ryan Suckup's got to, in my opinion, got to win this one. Because, I mean, we've a last got a kicker that we can rely on. We don't sit there thinking, oh, here we go. And he's had a phenomenal season. But special teams is the one area that I think we do need a little bit of an upgrade on, to be quite honest.
I will go with Grant Stewart. If you watch, and my wife will tell you, every time you watch a kickoff, the first man there with ultimate commitment to get into the ball every single time, you can't miss it because of the hair, is Grant Stewart. It's amazing the effort the guy puts in, and if nothing else, he deserves a 10 out of 10 for that effort. Every kickoff and every punt return.
You're right with the hair. It's like Captain Caveman screaming across the screen, isn't it?
You've just got to watch him. Watch his tape. It's really good.
Yeah, he's definitely taken over as that gunner role. I mean, now they're letting Adams go this season, shows that definitely they've got a lot of trust in him doing that. I mean, Scotty Miller really is just remembered for one play on special teams, and I think, whilst it was a fantastic play for us, it's got to be someone that's done it throughout the season. It is interesting just to show actually how more and more important field goal kicking seems to be in the league. The number of missed kicks in the season, I don't know if you just notice it more being a Bucs fan, but it does seem to be getting more and more difficult getting that ball over. So to have someone reliable is so important now.
I think the championship weekend was it that proved it, where all of the games came down to last minute scores or exchanges or kicks or not kicks.
A good kicker shortens that field by 30 yards on that final drive. So the time it saves the quarterback is immense if a field goal is required.
Yeah, and punting again, we had a few problems towards the end, and it looks like there's competition there. And how many bad punts were there in all the playoff games as well?
Yeah, there's no competition.
Too many skewed punts.
No, I don't think it'll be competition.
No, I think Pinion's gone. You're right about Scotty Miller, one play that he's been nominated for. Suckup is lovely and steady, but unfortunately, his range is quite limited. So I have to say I voted for Grant Stewart because I just love the effort running down the field. It's just phenomenal. So on the basis that I've got everything wrong, I hope Ryan Suckup wins this.
Well,
we didn't mention one person in there as possibly the comedy award, which is Jalen Darden on kickoff returns.
That's to say we're better, I think. Yeah. So let's see if Gary's curse continues, and we can unveil who the winner is. So yes, I'm not sure whether you're right or wrong, Gary, because it is indeed Ryan Suckup.
Not out of 3, Gar, or 4, you're doing well.
I think it might be because Grant's. I think people, when they think of special teams, do think of the kickers. But I think Tim summed it up really nicely when you see that frizzy bunch of hair screaming down the sideline. Okay, so that takes us halfway through, near enough. At which point we have to do my best Alex impression by telling you to hit the bell, subscribe, press the buttons, do all of that stuff that all the cool kids do. We give our thanks as usual to Bucs Report, and please do subscribe and follow us on all the social media channels. We've just broken 8,000 followers on Twitter. We're over 1,000 on Insta now, aren't we, Pete?
Yeah, 1,400 we've just broken.
1,400. So help, your support is really good, and we do follow back. We're there to interact with you guys. So the more you put in, the more you'll get out, and do reach out and get involved. So our next category then is Buccaneers Rookie Player of the Year, and these are the nominees. So these are all in alphabetical order of surname, I should say, no order of preference. But first up in the alphabet is D for Darden. It's Jalen Darden, as we said. Then we've got Robert Hainsey, Grant Stewart, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I preferred him when it was just Joe and Joe Tryon because it was easier to say, and then I'd maybe get away with a bit of JTS. But that's not a bad rookie lineup. It's obviously going to be hard, isn't it, Phil, to break into a Super Bowl winning team as a rookie?
It is, and I would say that 3 of the 4 that I did very well, actually, in all fairness. But Tryon I thought he hadn't played for a year, had he, before he came to us as a rookie. So I think he's going to be expecting big things from him next year. He showed plenty of potential, but I just felt he just lacked that little edge. But 12 months down the line, we'll see. But towards the end of the season, I thought he was really making, he was doing really well.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I agree, Phil. JTS, he definitely grew through the season with confidence, understanding the playbook more, and that communication. So, yeah, definitely, I think he was certainly come the end of the season quite a positive position out there and something that we can develop.
They sort of thrust him into the lineup in places where they didn't want to, and he hadn't been sort of trained because of the injury to JPP. I mean, they didn't really have much choice. They didn't have anybody else to put in there. But the confidence they show in him, is that the reason they haven't re-signed JPP this year, I wonder?
Possibly. It's good when you read those names out, and I think the same applies to this year. It's great when you're in the team and you're drafting players you want rather than players that you actually need to fill in big holes. The Bucs haven't been in that position for a few years, so these players have a year or 2 to get up to game speed. Joe Tryon, looks good. Got to get a few more moves, I would put it, because his main move is speed up the field, and he gets beaten behind the player quite often. Hainsey could be a good swing player, and so on. But they weren't drafted to make an impact immediately. So I go along with the guys. JTS, hopefully this year, will move up that next year.
Well, I can reveal that the winner did have 63% of the votes. So given that, actually these shortlists are just the top 4 in each category. This one was one of the more landslidey ones, and the winner is Yes, it is indeed JTS, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I don't think there's any surprise faces I'm seeing on screen.
No.
Not at all.
No.
No.
Okay, well, that's a good thing, I think.
Well, it probably
but-
helps he's about the only rookie that got on the field consistently.
Oh, Jordan got on the field consistently.
Well, after he picked himself up off his backside.
I
Yeah.
didn't say he did anything any good. I was just saying he got on the field consistently. That's all I said.
Okay, moving swiftly on. So we've done the positional award categories, and now these are the more prestigious ones, shall we say? And it starts with a good one, which is favorite Buccaneers player. So this is, regardless of position, who on the field is the person that you're rooting for and you really relate to, and these are the nominees. So we have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Vita Vea, and Devin White. Now that's a hard bunch to choose between, isn't it?
Definitely. When you think about the yards that Evans puts in every season, the determination for yards after the catch that Chris Godwin puts in, the strength and just tenacity that Vita has constantly, and then Devin White, just the energy that he brings. Yeah, it's a really hard bunch to try and just choose from.
I was surprised to see Godwin there, obviously given the injury, but I mean, it's not about who got the most yards or the most catches, but in terms of your favourite player.
Well, I think
clearly he's won hearts.
Godwin is just an all-round on offense, isn't he? Really, so he's a good receiver. So he makes yards after the catch. He adds a little bit on running and trick plays and slants. And down the middle, he pretty much does everything you can want from the guy. So you really miss him. It's like losing 3 players when he's out. And I think that showed a little bit towards the end of the season. We really found it difficult to sort of replace him.
Yeah,
it's amazing. We haven't even mentioned people like Lenny, Gronk. There's so many other stars on this team that haven't even got a mention.
Do you know, if you're going to win a Super Bowl, like we did Super Bowl, you've got to have no injuries. Super Bowl 55, we should have got through it without any injuries, but you start losing players of the caliber of Godwin and worse, and that made a difference. And I was thinking after we lost to the Rams, and I thought, to get this far with losing so many of these pieces of the jigsaw was quite incredible, really. And let's face it, we're only one play away from going. So it is quite incredible, really.
I think we've all watched that back quarterback a few times and just sort of screamed why to the ceiling. Okay.
I would just add something from Mike Evans. It's just not what he does on the field that makes him a great player for the Buccaneer organization. What he does off the field, both in terms of what he does with his contract, but more of the impact he has on the community around the place, the time he gives to everybody. Terrific guy.
I think I worked out he's being paid $100 a week. The way he's done his contract.
And we can see, Tim, you've got your Evans jersey in the background. Gary, you've got your Evans jersey in the background.
Yeah, I'm keeping quiet because I want him to win it.
You said it now. You jinxed it.
Well, that's it now. That's he's done.
David, you mentioned Lenny and Gronk. Anyone else want to sort of get a shout out for someone that maybe didn't make the shortlist for their favourite player?
Not worse. Winfield. Worse and
yeah.
Winfield.
Yeah, my favourite player's on there. So
I would have liked to have seen Levante David make the shortlist. I think we had that talked about that dynamic with Devin and Levante, and I think they are definitely a great duo. But the fact that Devin has that drop off when Levante isn't there, I kind of say Levante has that leadership. But then of course I think Mike Evans also has that leadership as well in spades. So we shall see. I'm delighted to announce that the winner is Yes, indeed. It's Mike Evans. Gary, you've broken the curse. That's a deserving win, is it not?
Hooray.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
deserving. one.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 awards to go, and this is the only award which can be won by a non-Buccaneer. This is our NFL Player of the Year. I can tell you now, Aaron Rodgers is not on this shortlist. No surprises there, but I think it is an interesting shortlist. So these are the nominees. So we have Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Aaron Donald, and Cooper Kupp. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember the last time a Bengal was in contention for anything. So that shows how far they've come. But then we've got our own GOAT, and then 2 of the eventual Super Bowl winners.
Can I be told who voted for Alan Donald and Cooper Kupp? Because I want to go round to their house personally and do naughty things to them with a baseball bat.
I won't give any spoilers away, but you'd have to be going around to several houses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. I'm retired. I've got plenty of time.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way, Guy. You may have to come to my house, or I may have to come to yours. So that might give you an idea of who I voted for, from what I can remember.
Tell us, Tim, who you voted for and why.
I voted for the Welsh Dragons' Cooper Kupp.
And why is that?
Phenomenal talent from a small school, playing with a new quarterback in his first year. The guy carried that offense throughout the year, and unfortunately carried them through the championship game as well.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, really.
I think one thing that's very interesting about that list is that there's 2 players on that list that both came back last season after really crippling injuries. Both Joe Burrow did I think his ACL, and so did Cooper Kupp. They both did, and they both performed to that level, having come back with those injuries. It was absolutely phenomenal. Fantastic for Joe Burrow. I thought he didn't have that good an offensive line, but he still managed to get him to the Super Bowl. I think he's and this year they've
great talent.
They've got Alex Kappa there this year, and they've really beefed up that offensive line. They are really going to be a handful this year, the Bengals.
Interesting. Okay, so Gary, if you're a betting man, where's it going?
Don't say Tom Brady, please.
Well, if I was a betting man, I think I'd probably say our very own Tom Brady. Purely, name recognition, purely because he's a Buccaneer. But who knows?
Well, let's see if the Homers won it. The winner I can announce is yes, indeed. It is, unfortunately, Cooper Kupp. I think, Tim, as you said, he pretty much carried the team and had every record going. You knew it was going to him. It doesn't matter what you did.
Couldn't stop him throughout the season. What was it, 140 catches, 18 or so touchdowns. Absolutely superb season. Absolutely superb. For a guy who wasn't drafted highly, wasn't highly thought of when he came out, turned himself into a great pro.
So, David, the big question then is, did the NFL get it wrong? Should it be Cooper Kupp MVP over whoever the other guy was?
Well, I definitely think that chap that they gave it to certainly wasn't deserving. I think, the nominations on our list, I think we're all much better and deserving than that. And yeah, I think, definitely Kupp was a worthy standout player for the season. And if we'd have made one more victory, I think it would have been Tom. But I don't think we can argue with our members' votes.
Absolutely. Bucs UK fans, you got it right. We think we agree with you there. Which brings us on to our second of the 2 new categories. So this is the Bucs UK Club Member of the Year. Now, Phil, do you want to maybe say a few words explaining why we have this new category? And I should say that Phil, David, and myself, we are all ineligible for this. So why have we got Bucs UK Member of the Year?
Well, to be quite honest, I think this is a great new award because the way this club has grown in the last 3 years is absolutely incredible. We've got 500 members, 500 paying members. We've got the watch parties, a huge success. The pod, and of course the podcast, and we have a lot more to come. But with all this growth, which comes a hell of a lot of work. So the three of us could have done it without all the the people that stepped forward and did it. So to those, a massive thank you. This one to me is quite deserved because there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that the average member just does not see.
It's true. Go on, David.
It is all about our fan base and our members, this club. And, it's all very well sort of the key people is just standing out in front time, but actually it's the engagement with all of our members. It's you get on the forum during the games and it's the interaction with people and the fun and the joining in and the camaraderie. And, it's definitely looking for members that, actually stand out from that and actually contribute to the club as well. Not just in the management, but actually just engagement with everybody else. Just being part of that community is just so important for us.
And things like joining the competitions. The reason we give prizes away is because we want people to win them, and we want people to enter those competitions. And I know it's a bit like when you had your birthday party and you're pacing around going, I hope someone's going to come. Whenever we have our social events, there's always the same, maybe sort of dozen or so names that are the first ones to get their tickets in, and we know, right, that's brilliant, that's definitely going to go ahead. And we had some fantastic socials this year. So obviously, from all of us, is our thanks, isn't it, for all of that hard work, because what we managed to achieve as the sum of our parts is fantastic. As you said, the socials, the competitions, the forum, the prizes, and all of this while coping, registering and doing the admin for 500 plus members. So yeah, it's fantastic. So rather than just take the top four, I drew the cutoff at people that had 3 or more nominations. So I've got a bit of a long list to read, which is a good sign. So the nominees are Adam Davies, Stuart Fletcher, Andy Harwood, Dominic Hodgkinson, Tim Lewis, Alex Oldham, Pete Payne, and Graham Reed. Now, as David and Phil have said, those are the people that are visible. There's lots of people behind the scenes as well. So this isn't designed to be any sort of list, but it is a chance to give a bit of a shout out to people. I won't make you pick to who you think's going to have it, but maybe if you want to say who you think's deserving, I'll start with one, which is Andy Harwood, who a few of our members may not know. But Andy works for British Airways, and he does fantastic things at getting good value discounted flights for people going over to the States, and he's really good at giving travel advice and does all of that out of the goodness of his own heart. So I think many people won't have heard of him or know that he does that, but I think he deserves recognition.
Can I just say that I think all of those nominees actually, before we announce winner, deserves a round of applause from all of us that have to run this club. And a huge thank you.
It's true. And Gary, I know you're not on that list, but I also want to thank you as well because you've taken on running some of the competitions this year, which has been hugely appreciated.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I really enjoyed doing what I did, and I'd be very happy to do it again next year, although going out to Tampa for 3 weeks might just mean the updates are not quite on the the day they're supposed to be, but we'll see.
You'll be in the pub with me.
I will.
And that's what Tim brings to the club, clearly. No, Tim, you've been fantastic as our sort of advocate and ambassador over in America, and it's been we get our reputation with the fan stateside is really something we're proud of, and I know that you work hard to foster that.
Cheers.
And Pete, I'm not going to leave you out. You're going to have to start blushing as well, because you do lots of stuff behind the scenes. If you follow us on Twitter or Insta, chances are you've either seen something that he's done himself or something that he's prepared for someone else to do. The animations you do, the time you put in on that, it's thankless,
Brilliant.
it's anonymous, and it's really appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah, great effort,
Well done,
Pete.
buddy.
Right.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But like all awards, there can only be one winner. Spoilers, he's not on the call now, so there's going to be no blushes or embarrassment. But the winner is yes, it's Adam Davies. He is.
Good.
I mean, I think my forum post count is
Superb.
high, but it's taking a beating thanks to Adam. He is always on the forum during games, really good at engaging everyone, whipping up the conversation. He's helped with doing the fantasy football leagues and some of the competitions. He comes to all the socials. He's just, and I don't think you meet a nicer Bucs fan, would you?
He
Well
deserves
done,
to
Adam.
win it.
Like,
He
Well
deserves to win
deserved.
it for the Rondi bar alone, doesn't he?
Yes.
Well
Yes.
deserved.
Well
So
done, Adam.
yeah,
well done,
very
Adam.
well
Well done,
deserved.
Adam. Yeah.
Well done, Adam.
You're another round of applause for you. Your name will be chiseled onto our website for eternity. And I think we're really pleased to do this award. We'll be running it again next year, and it'd be really nice to celebrate more of the time and effort that people put in. Which brings us then on to our final award. The most prestigious award of Buccaneer of the Year. So this is the person, it doesn't have to be a player. This is someone that sums up what it means to be a Buccaneer, what it means to be part of that community and that fan group. And over the years, we've had some really good winners. But this year, the nominees for Buccaneer of the Year are Yep, so we have Bruce Arians, Mike Evans, Brian Ford, and making his first debut as a nominee, Big Nasty. So any surprises there?
I think I'm surprised that BA's on there. I know he's obviously retiring, but I didn't expect him to come up as being a Buccaneer of the Year. So I'm quite surprised that BA's on there.
That could be some of that sort of, standing down, maybe giving him a gong. I think it's interesting that he's going straight into the Ring of Honor. There's several notable Buccaneers of days of yore that have yet to get in there. So it's clearly, he's clearly well regarded.
He won us the Super Bowl, didn't he?
Mm.
I think we have to remember where we've come from here, don't we? We're sort of like we couldn't win half our games, and then suddenly we've got catapulted into a Super Bowl. It's and he was a coach at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not
Go on, Gary.
surprised BA is on there, or Mike Evans or Brian Ford. Certainly, I'm a little bit surprised Big Nasty's on there. I know he's the ultimate super Bucs fan, but he's now retired, hasn't he? Or he's retired. Big Nasty. Keith
This
comes
year.
in his.
I think this is his
One
last
last season.
year.
This is last season. Yeah.
So
okay.
Big
So he's about
Nasty is
to
in
retire.
the Pro Football Fan Hall of Fame. I probably said it in the wrong order.
Twice,
He's
isn't
in there
it?
twice.
Yeah.
That's why it's and although yes, he's in the front row, and yes, he obviously does all the dressing up. But when we had him on the podcast, if you go back and watch that episode, which I was clever enough, I'll somehow try and link down there somewhere. But he does a lot of work locally. He uses that fame for causes, for charity, for fundraising, and again, I think a bit like some of our Bucs UK members, it doesn't get the credit that he necessarily deserves. People see him on game day because CBS, NBC, or whoever cuts to him going with his makeup on, and it's fantastic that we've got that super fan, but a real super fan, I think, is rooted in their community. And I think what Big Nasty does is brilliant. I think it's testament to the fact that I think the Bucs, have pushed him to get those Fat Hall of Fame nominations. Clearly, anytime there's a PR thing needed or a ticket, he's at every game. No matter where. He's been over to London each time. And I think he also gets obviously a lot of support from his family. And I think when we spoke to him, I think he said that's the real reason he's retiring. I think he loves what he's doing, and he'd do it forever if it wasn't for the fact that maybe he ought to spend some time with his family.
And I think he does engage with the other fans and our fan base and membership as well. So, he does engage. If you tweet with him or engage, and he came on, say, our podcast, he does actually get involved with all the fan bases. He doesn't just set himself up as an island. So, he's good to interact with as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There's a lot of work with children as well. Goes into schools and things like that, and they recognise him and see him as like as a part of the Buccaneers. So I totally agree. I think he's done a fantastic job to promote the name of the Buccaneers as well. I think he's excellent.
Interesting. One person's not on there, Jason Light.
Well, yeah, we could go on forever with this one, couldn't we? You could argue Tom Brady as well. So
We probably can't go without saying a little bit about our good friend Brian Ford as well, can't we? From us as a club, I think obviously we're incredibly grateful for the time and energy that Brian gives us, and I know many people count Brian as a friend. Such as the way that he just blurs the lines between his day job and his personal life. He's just a great stand-up guy, isn't he, Brian?
Oh, he's the sort of man you want to represent any organisation, not just the Bucs. If you had him as your front man, you would be a good organisation.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, he's become far more of a friend to everyone at Bucs UK than he is in a sort of a working relationship from the Buccaneers. And, testament again to when we all went out there once we could get back after COVID. He was first trying to engage with us, personally took everyone down to the stadium and took us for a tour around there, which, you wouldn't get a CEO of any other organisation do that sort of stuff. What he does is so above and beyond. It's just amazing.
I mean, one thing that will never forget him for was he was our link during COVID. We couldn't go across the pond. We couldn't see our team play live, but we got to a Super Bowl. And I'll never forget, Championship Day at Green Bay, and there he is with us. It was absolutely incredible what he does. Actually, it does.
Yeah.
And he always goes out of his way to help us, any way, shape, or form. There's nothing, too small that he won't try and do something about. No, incredible guy, and we are exceptionally lucky as a club to have him as a friend. Very, very lucky.
And then the final nominee, Mike Evans, we've touched on his credentials already, but I better check. Am I right saying is he the Walter Payton of the Year nominee for the Bucs this year?
He was, yes.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, as I said earlier during the ceremony, just the top man on and off the field. Just mentioned Brian, the type of guy you want to lead it off the field. Mike Evans, these guys would walk through a wall for.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. Mike Evans Foundation is they're nominating Brian, aren't they, for an award for all the work that he does. They're recognising him in Mike Evans Foundation, which is good.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, all four names on this list are very deserving, aren't they? Can't we give 4 awards? Wouldn't that be fairer?
I think it would be, but then we'd have to do that for every category. There's only space for one name on the plaque. But I think we can all agree that whoever wins is probably very deserving, and there's even a short list of 4 probably omits some people. So our top award, Buccaneer of the Year, I can say the winner is... Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit boring. It's Brian Ford again.
Well done, Brian.
I don't know how it's like there's Jules Rimet. At some point, we're going to have to start naming it after him.
I'll put that to him.
Yeah, well deserved.
Yeah.
So yeah, so thank you, Brian. Thank you, guys, and thank you, everyone, for if you're voting, if you're a member, if you're watching, and you just wanted to see what we thought. Obviously, in the chat down there, or on Twitter, or Insta, or Facebook, tell us in the chat and the comments who you think should have won, whether you agreed or disagreed with us. And you know, this kind of is a really good segue from one year into the next, and we've already started the next year of Bucs UK. I mean, David, maybe just tell people what's coming up in before we even start to get onto the green stuff with the ball.
Yep. So we've got summer AGM and tailgate social, which is on the 18th of June at Kings Langley near Hemel Hempstead. So that's 2 till 6 o'clock. So it's in a pub garden. So there's going to be lots of fun and games and events. So it'd be great to see everybody turn up to that. We're lining up a couple of watch parties again. So I think we're looking for the Atlanta game in Leeds. Is it that way round? I can't remember now.
Yeah, Leeds first, yeah.
Leeds first, and then down in London a few weeks later for that. So we're just confirming the details with the venues, but we hope to go back to where we went last year. So that'd be great. And obviously now the schedule's out, plenty of ticket requests coming in, which I think Phil can probably update on.
Yes, the tickets. We've had more ticket requests this year than we've ever had before. It is absolutely incredible. And the order goes in tomorrow, and fingers crossed, everybody gets a ticket. We should be all right, though. We should be okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you,
So
Nice
thanks
to
from
hear.
all of us. We look forward to seeing you next time soon. We've got some guests coming. We've got some club chat coming. We're going to be looking ahead to the schedule and the season ahead. So please join with us, be part of it. And all together, last time of all, go Bucs!
Go
Go
Bucs!
Bucs!
Bucks.